Hi everybody, nous sommes en direct. J'espère que vous allez super bien. Hello, hello. Déjà, je vous invite à partager ce live. Que tu regardes le replay ou pas, je t'invite à partager ce live car aujourd'hui, on va parler du but de ma vie, de ta vie et de la vie de tous les autres êtres humains sur la Terre. Et donc, bienvenue à ce direct. Et pour ça, comme d'habitude, je vous invite à voir de quoi écrire, de quoi noter. Et là, on va commencer. Que vous soyez sur Facebook. Et toutefois, il faut savoir que si vous êtes sur Facebook, je ne vais pas pouvoir voir vos commentaires. Donc, si vous voulez que je voie vos commentaires, envoyez-moi des messages à travers YouTube. Voilà. Donc, partagez ce live. Bienvenue. Et on va commencer avec des questions. Je vais vous poser certaines questions et je vous invite à noter. C'est très important de noter. Lorsque on ne note pas, on ne saura pas après, ok, ce qu'on a appris. Et votre auteur dit, ne faites pas confiance à votre cerveau parce que vous allez oublier. Donc, prenez des notes afin de vous rappeler après. Et donc, aujourd'hui, je vais recevoir mon invité. Mais avant ça, j'aimerais vous poser la question suivante. Les questions, c'est une série de questions. OK? Et déjà, il faut savoir que lorsqu'on n'a pas de but, on va rester dans la médiocrité. Ça devrait être un concept simple, mais malheureusement, ce n'est pas simple pour beaucoup d'entre nous. Parfois, on dit, ma vie n'avance pas. Tu vas voir la vie des gens stagne depuis 5 ans, 6 ans. Et les gens ne comprennent pas pourquoi leur vie stagne. C'est tout simplement parce que tu n'as pas un but. Parce que lorsque tu n'as pas un but, pourquoi est-ce que tu vas te lever le matin? Donc, j'ai les questions suivantes. Pourquoi te réveilles-tu tous les jours? Donc, il faut noter ça. Note la première question. Et tu vas pouvoir répondre après. Et durant ce live même, tu pourras répondre à ces questions au fur et à mesure. Donc, première question, pourquoi est-ce que tu te réveilles chaque matin? Ensuite, pourquoi est-ce que tu fais ce que tu fais pour survivre? Dans le sens où, quel est le but de ton emploi? Ce que tu fais concrètement à ton emploi. Qu'est-ce que ça rapporte dans ta vie, pour ta famille et dans le monde entier? Déjà, la première chose que beaucoup vont répondre, c'est le salaire. OK, si on met ce salaire de côté, qu'est-ce que ce que tu fais à ton travail tous les jours, concrètement, toutes ces tâches que tu fais, qu'est-ce que ça apporte dans ta vie, dans la vie des gens autour de toi et tout ce qui t'entoure et dans le monde? Ensuite, vient la question, je pense que j'ai posé la question là. Quel est le but de ton travail? Quand tu te lèves tous les matins pour aller à ton travail, quel est le but de ton travail? Quel est le plus que ton travail apporte à ce monde? Et quand je parle de ce monde, c'est pour dire toi d'abord, tes proches après, ta famille et ensuite ta communauté et enfin le monde. Veux-tu survivre jusqu'à la mort ou encore vivre jusqu'à ton départ? Je vais reposer la question. Veux-tu survivre jusqu'à ta mort ou veux-tu vivre jusqu'à ton départ? La prochaine question, c'est Veux-tu être un esclave salarié ou être un chef d'entreprise qui crée de la richesse? Donc, note toute cette question et je vais bientôt inviter mon invité. Voilà. N'hésitez pas à partager. Donnez comme vous aurez aimé recevoir. Il faut donner pour pouvoir recevoir. Ok. Alors, salut Chris. Comment vas-tu? Je vais regarder ça. Où? Ok. Là. Est-ce que vous aimez la musique en fond d'écran? Ok. Là. Voilà. Moi, ça va super bien, Chris. Tu nous écoutes depuis où? Donc, à ces questions, did I say? Bam, bam, bam. Ok. Ah, depuis la France. Ok, depuis la France. Hello, depuis la France. Et déjà, dites-moi ce que vous pensez de la thématique d'aujourd'hui. Attendez, je fais des choses en arrière-plan. Hein. En même temps, je vous regarde. Attendez, je dois... Ça, c'est... Il me faut un manager. Pour l'instant, je vais tout seul. Ok. Je cherche en fait à partager ça. Oh, ok. Ah, j'ai eu ce que je cherchais. Ok. Voilà, I am back. Et je disais, qu'est-ce que vous pensez de la thématique d'aujourd'hui? Est-ce que vous avez noté les questions déjà? Je dois aussi gérer ça de ce côté. Comment est-ce que je fais ça? Okay. Il y a Chris qui dit « J'aime bien et je trouve que c'est un bon rappel pour fixer ses objectifs. pour cette année de façon générale aussi. Yep. Exactement. Oh. Est-ce que certains se sont déjà me demandé pourquoi on a cette... donc, c'est un peu comme si c'est une entente collective de fixer les objectifs en début d'année. Pourquoi est-ce que, de manière générale et collectivement, les gens fixent des objectifs en début d'année? Est-ce que c'est anodin? Pourquoi est-ce que presque le monde entier fait cela? Ok, j'ai trouvé ce que je cherchais. Non. Ça. Est-ce que ça... Ok, c'est ça. Ok, je vais finir ça et on peut commencer. Alors, pour parler de ça aujourd'hui, mon invité, c'est Drake Pearson. Est-ce que vous connaissez Drake Pearson? Si vous regardez Self-Perfected, les podcasts de Self-Perfected, vous avez déjà vu sa tête. Et on va parler en... ok. On va parler en anglais. Et je ne cesserai jamais de le dire. Il faut aller apprendre l'anglais. OK? So, say hi and welcome to Drake Pearson.
Hey.
Hi, Drake.
Hey, Sandra. How's it going?
I'm fine. I'm amazing. And you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing great. Yeah.
Why are you laughing so much?
I'm laughing because I had a little bit of technical difficulties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually, when people have technical difficulties, they are sad, angry, mad. How dare you laugh in those times where you should be angry and sad, and you should blame the world and blame your laptop. How dare you
Right.
be
No.
happy?
I can't be bothered with blaming my laptop and being upset and mad and angry. There's already a lot in the world. There are enough challenges,
Yeah.
So I gotta save it up for that.
Okay, great. So, hi everybody. Here is Drake, and so you're gonna tell us who you are. And let us just begin by saying, who is Drake? And
Yeah.
and why are you here?
Man, I'm here because you invited me for one.
Yeah.
But who is Drake? I am an educator. So I heard you introduce, I'm on the Self-Perfected podcast and a host of that. And really, I found that how I got here was because I'd met someone on a cruise. I was a part of a club, right? And this club was a success club. It was focused on success. And they would have cruises every once in a while. And I went on one of these cruises, and I happened to meet this guy by the name of Cameron. And you know him, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. So I happened to meet him on this cruise, and we became friends. He was the cruise was taking off not too far from where I live in Orlando. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to be in Orlando for a couple of days. Would you show me around a little bit?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. It sounds like fun." And we went around Orlando. We ate some food. We did some fun things. And then afterwards, he went back to Texas. I stayed here in Orlando, and we just became friends on Facebook, things like that. And I noticed something interesting about him. His life was getting better and better and better, and I could see it in my life. I was a part of this success club. He was a part of this success club, but my life was not being successful. It was going like this.
Yeah.
Oh man, I need to reach.
Okay. And so let's talk about that. tell us a little bit about your childhood till the day you met Cameron. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit. Short, quick, sweet story.
So I grew up in outside of Orlando in Kissimmee. You know, that's where
We
Disney
don't
is.
know. We don't care.
Okay. Well, this is where I grew up, and my grandmother owned a child care center here, and I grew up going to that child care center. My mom, unfortunately, she wasn't able to raise me from the very beginning because she was going to university, and so she had to finish her studies. So she left me with my grandmother when I was an infant, but then she came back after she had graduated, and
How old were you then?
I was maybe by the time that she had graduated, maybe 1 years old, maybe 1.5, somewhere around there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to this daycare all the time, right? Because that's where my grandmother was taking me every day. And my father was not around at all, unfortunately. It was because the relationship between him and my mother didn't work out. And so he lived in a completely different state. He would visit every once in a while, but I never really saw him.
Okay.
And I was intelligent as a child, somewhat. But I remember when I was in second grade or third grade, they sat down my mother and they said, I was going to a private school at that time. And they said, we have some concerns about your son. He is disruptive, right? And I was like, oh no. And they said, yeah, he gets up in the classroom. He's walking around. He's always talking. And, we think he has ADHD. And we recommend that you maybe see a doctor, maybe get him some prescription for his ADHD. And my mom was like, oh no.
What's going on with my baby?
Exactly. Well, she took me out of that school and put me into
Thank
a different.
you, Mom.
Yeah.
Best decision.
It was a good decision because when she put me in the new school, they said, oh, your child's very intelligent. And we think that he needs to have some more challenges in his studies. And maybe that's why he's not doing so well at that other school. And then they also said, also he needs glasses. He cannot see when we write things, so he gets up and walks around. And I'm like,
oh, you were walking around because you wanted to see what were on the board.
Right.
And they say you had ADHD. Wow.
Exactly. So it was interesting because we found out later that school was getting paid for every child that was on medication. And so they wanted more children.
So the school gets paid by finding out a child is on medication?
Yeah, so specifically if they have ADHD children, that school would get paid more because the way that the school board looked at it, they said, well, yeah, those children are harder to deal with. So
yeah, they need specific care, more attention. That's why we should pay them more.
Right.
Oh.
It was an incentive for the school to say, oh, he needs medication.
Exactly. Profit at the end of the day. Profit. Yeah.
Right.
And
so
then
pretty much my childhood, I never got to see really a real working relationship, right?
Your dad wasn't around.
Right. And also my grandmother wasn't married either, and neither was anybody else in my family really married for any long period of time that lasted. None of them had a marriage that lasted. And so today, I can count on one hand all the people in my family that are married, at least on my mother's side of the family, right?
And so growing up, why was your idea, people are like, my life is, I go to school, people tell you, go to school and your life is going to be the best life ever. You go to school and then you get married and then you have kids. What was your perception since you didn't have that married life around you? So what was your idea of life concerning job, etc., and then marriage.
Okay, so my perception of school, my mom used to say that I would always say, wow, those people are so dumb. And she would tell me, you can't say that.
You were saying who is dumb? The people in
Just
school?
people that I would see that were doing what I thought were dumb things, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of people at school, you know, I thought they were dumb. And she said, you can't say that. You can't say that.
Uh-huh.
And so my perception of school was it's something that you have to do, but I didn't understand why, because to me, there were a lot of things that didn't make sense at school, you know? And
So do you then dreamed of having your dream job and because of school?
actually, no. Actually, for me, I did not dream of a job. It was funny because I always dreamed that I would have a big house with a large yard, and I would spend my time the way I thought of it. I would spend most of my time with my children. That's how I always thought of it. And the reason why I felt that way was because growing up, I didn't have that. I didn't have
Wow. Yeah,
somebody
interesting.
there with me. My father wasn't there with me all the time. I didn't get to spend that time with him. So for me, it was really just I wanted to create that for my children where I could actually be there for them. That was the most important thing to me.
Wow, interesting. That's very interesting. So, what others may say, I wanted to be financial free or whatever, your goal was, I want to create a life where I can be around my children.
Right.
Yeah, okay. And talking about marriage, so what was your idea around that?
Man. So because I never saw anyone else married in my family, and because I was raised mostly by women who were well meaning, but I didn't really understand them that well.
The
I
crazy.
I thought, man, being in a relationship is going to be very tough for me. It's going to be very challenging. I don't think it can happen. So I really had this belief in my mind that I would have a child with someone and I would raise it by myself, just me.
Wait, and where will be the mom?
I don't know. I don't know.
So wait. In your head, do you want it to have a surrogate or what?
So in my head, no, I would have a relationship very briefly with someone.
Uh-huh.
We would have a child,
Yeah.
and then clearly it was not going to work out.
Yeah.
I already know, okay, that's not gonna work out. So then I will just keep the child with me because she's going to be crazy, obviously, because she's a woman. That's the way I was thinking.
Okay. And did you for once think she would be like, I don't want you to have my child, I want to raise them by myself? Did
That's
you for 1 minute think about that? That she would be like, no, he stay with me or he or she.
oh no. I wouldn't allow it. I wouldn't allow it. No.
In your mind, it's like it's like be in your world and planning things. It's like people are not even thinking or existing or they don't have needs themselves. Like a woman is gonna make a child with you and then be like and you come around and be like, okay, now it's time to go and I'm taking my chance. You're gonna be like, okay, bye.
That's how it was in my mind. That's honestly, I never even considered that she might want to keep the child. No.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And do you know why I'm emphasis on that? It's because it show how we stay in our mind. We don't consider things. We don't think long term. We just think about our little words, our little self, and it's like you don't even think about the person who created this being. It's just like it's about me. It's about me, Drake, and my story, and she should just understand. It's crazy. How wow. Okay, Chris saying I had that thought too about men and raising a child alone when I was younger.
Wow.
See? You will be with Chris, right? Think about that. Let's just say you met her.
Imagine if we were to meet and then we have a child and like, no, I'm keeping it. No, I'm keeping it. Like, ah.
And then you guys go to custody, whatever, and what? This
Right.
is crazy. Talking without agreement, this is what we end up with. Like, I thought you know, I thought you know. So, okay, I think we're gonna come back to that later. But after school, what happened?
So after school, funny, during school, I wanted to drop out because I read a book. It was called like Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, the book.
And I said, you know what? I'm done with school. I'm done. This is what I'm going to do. Right. And then my mom said no.
Wait a second. How do you stumble on that book?
You know, it's funny. I'm not sure how I stumbled upon that book. I don't remember because I wasn't a part of that success club yet. Oh, but you know what? I may have heard in like an audio because I was listening to things like The Secret. And I was listening to things like that.
Okay.
And I may have heard someone say, hey, this is a really good book for starting down that path.
Yeah.
So I read that book.
And
then even after I read that book, and I saw this is what I want to do. I want to build a business. My mom said, no, you're not dropping out of school. And then she called my father, and my father said the same thing. He said, no. And then
no way.
I guess I can't get out of it. So I have to continue doing this. And that's interesting because I felt like at that time, no one believed in me then. But I didn't have the self-esteem to say, well, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, well, then forget about that dream, you know?
Absolutely.
And after school, I went to university and I realized that I did not like university at all. I was learning a lot of things that didn't make sense still. And I thought this was supposed to be fun. I thought it was going to be parties, you know, I was going to learn a lot of good stuff. That didn't happen at all. Yeah.
And then, did you graduate or did you drop out?
I dropped out. At that time, I dropped out. I said, no one's going to keep me here. Yeah. I dropped out.
And what did you do afterwards?
So afterwards, then I started doing a lot of small jobs here, there, everywhere. I joined that success club and I was traveling all around. I went to Germany. I went to Barcelona. I went, to Costa Rica. I went everywhere. Right?
Okay. And what was the idea behind you traveling? Why?
So I loved to travel because I loved to learn about different people, about different cultures. And, I wanted to maybe find something out there that would be a great opportunity where I could feel this just passion for something.
I can see you listen to The Secret so much. There's this at some point, I don't know if it is early 2010, people started being like, I want to travel the world. And when you travel, you go with the flow, and life is, you learn things and you're not attached to something. And I'm just like, yeah, I can see that at that point, people see when you are lost, it's so easy for you to be like, yes, this makes sense. And this is my new purpose, whatever. So that's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
And why you started doing that. So how many countries did you visit during that time?
I don't even know. Maybe only 10. Really, maybe only 10. Still, I was, like you said, I was searching. I was searching for something outside of me. I was searching for what is the answer? What is the secret? What is going to make
But I thought you watched The Secret, Drake. So after watching The Secret, you are still looking for a secret. So what is going on?
Right. Because after I listened to The Secret, that was my first exposure to, oh, wait, I can get the things that I desire? Wait, I don't have to live like this? Because I feel like so many people recognize that the way that we're living isn't enjoyable, really.
Mm.
There's so much left to have in this world to make you feel complete. And that was my first time hearing that. And I said, okay, so I can get the things I actually want, which is interesting because my mom is the one who shared The Secret with me, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because specifically the way that she was raising me, I didn't like it. And I thought, oh, I can change you maybe? Maybe I can change you. I can change the way I'm being raised. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That didn't really happen. That didn't change so much then, you know?
Yeah, and so from the times you drop out to, let's say, when you meet Cameron, describe your life in 5 or 3 words, or in a sentence if you want.
Yeah. Searching but not finding, you know? That's how I would describe it. Searching but not finding. Basically, I went, like I said, from job to job to job, place to place to place, and I was looking for anything that would make me feel better. I didn't care what it was. If it made me feel better, I would go do that. And then once it stopped making me feel better, I stopped doing that and I went to do something else, you know?
And did you at any point wanted to open a business since you reached that for that? Did you at any point was like,
I did. I wanted to open my own business and I tried to actually. I bought some online course. Actually, I bought a lot of online courses.
A lot.
I spent so much money on all these different courses of how to build a business. And I also spent a lot of money on different courses for how to get into a relationship. And here's what I had to show for it. Nothing. Nothing at all. Yeah. All the courses that I bought of how to build a business, it didn't work out. I never made any money from any of those courses. And I just couldn't make them work. And I felt like this is when I started to feel like maybe all that success is not for me. Maybe I'm just not one of those people. I'm just mediocre. I'm average. I can't make it work. That's how I started to feel.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was starting to feel like really defeated within myself. It was kind of depressing. It was depressing. You know?
Yeah. And realizing that you had, it's like having no direction, searching. And did you at some point was like, maybe I shouldn't drop out of uni at some point?
A little bit. There was a little bit of like, man, if I would have just finished, then maybe I could have some better opportunities, but also I really don't like that. I don't want to be a part of that system. I don't want to just do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
It's funny because I had that thought. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing, but I was doing what everybody else was doing.
Just in a different fields. And I think that makes you feel like you are doing something different than the rest. Yeah. And so
a little bit like I was unique, like I was special, you know? But
yeah, and you, I know you were part of Gene, right? Or you are still. How did you find out about Gene?
Just really, I was over at my aunt's house and a friend of hers came over and said, I found this audio. You like The Secret? This is going to blow The Secret out of the water. And I said, okay. And then they started, they gave me the audio on like a USB stick.
Mm-hmm.
Said, here, take this and listen to it. And so I listened to it. And at the end of the audio, they talk about Jin. And I asked the guy, I called him and I said, hey, what about this club? And he said, what are you talking about? And I said, at the end of the audio that you gave me, he said, oh, I didn't finish.
He didn't finish, but he gave it to you and be like, it's going to blow your mind.
Right. So I listened to that and then I said, well, okay, let me find out for myself. And then I looked online. I found out a way to get in, and that's how I became a part of that club. Yeah.
And what year is that?
That was around 2011.
Okay. And from 2011, how was your life then, joining Gene and so on and so forth?
So it was very exciting, because I just learned all this new information that made me feel really positive and really like shifting the way that I thought about business and all of that, right? But I still was failing a lot in trying to create a business, still failing in relationships, and still traveling a lot and searching. So that was around that same time,
And let's just say someone who is in Gene is watching now. What would you tell them? Because I think it can be frustrating, and I know when you are searching and you think, oh, this is the answer, and you see your life, the more the times go, your life is just getting worse and worse. What would you tell them? Because I think they may also feel like you felt back then, that maybe it's me, it's not about Gene or whatever, it's me, I'm just mediocre. What would you tell that person?
I would say you're kind of right. It is you, right? It is you. But that doesn't mean that you can't change, right? And I would say that, if you're watching this and you're seeing this from Sandra's page, you should reach out to Sandra, and definitely have a conversation about why it is that you haven't changed yet, right? Because you have all this great information and knowledge available to you, but if you're struggling to make it work and it's not working for you, and you can objectively see and look at your life and go, well, it's not actually better. I may feel better in moments, right? Because this is what was happening to me. Some moments I would feel so great. I would feel like I would meditate. I would feel connected with everything. I would feel so good, right?
Visualized.
Yes. I was probably the most positive person you ever met, right? No one had anything negative to say about me. And every time somebody would meet me, they'd be like, wow, you're so positive. You're so great. I love being around you. I'm like, yes. But
the vibrations are getting higher and higher.
Yes, I was like, at any moment now, any moment. But my bank account was negative. It was actually negative, right?
I think that's people are so mad when you say it, but in the current system, what's gonna measure who you are? It's your bank account. And I read the book Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life, and Bob Proctor said he usually asks people how much have you made, the most amount you have made in a year. And he doesn't ask that to know, but he knows that when you answer, he know where you are at. With the money that you have in your bank account, we can measure, it's something measurable. But you feeling some type of way is not measurable. That's why it's so easy to lie to yourself and lie to the world that you are doing amazing and this is amazing. But at the end of the day, when your bank account is negative, Drake, how can you be so happy when your bank account is negative?
It's called lying to yourself. Yeah.
And what are the consequences of lying to yourself? When you look at your life during that time, what are the consequences that you were facing in your real life, because you were lying to yourself?
Yeah. So the consequences are you get less of what you actually want. You get further and further from what you want. It's sort of like, if man, it's sort of like you're driving to a different city, and you get in the car, and let's say you don't have a GPS, okay, and you're reading a map. You remember when people would read the map to go somewhere, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're reading the map, you're driving along. This actually happened to me one time.
So that's a real life story. It's
So
not
this happened to
an
me,
analogy.
this happened to me in Germany. In
Oh,
Germany.
in which city?
Yeah. So I was in, I don't even know how to say it properly, so forgive me. But it was a city called, a small town called Villingen-Schwenningen, right?
I don't even know the town, so let's just continue.
Okay. Small town, right? I got on a train, and the train was supposed to take us to Stuttgart, right?
Yeah.
So we got on the train, and as we're riding in the train, then at a certain point, all of a sudden the train stops, and it goes the opposite direction.
Yeah, that's why, yeah. Mhm.
And my friend and I, we don't speak German, so we're like, "Are we going the right way? Not sure." Well, we don't have to worry about it right now because we're not supposed to be there for another hour. So we said, okay, we'll wait for an hour and
And
we'll
then
see. Right? Well, the towns kept going by and by. Is that the town that it's supposed to be? I'm not sure. Right?
no.
When we got to the time that it was supposed to be, like, oh, this should be our stop. We get out of the train, and we're nowhere near Stuttgart. We were in like Rottweil or something like that. You're like, what the heck?
You guys missed the next train.
But that's how it is when you're like constantly being positive with yourself. And you're like, oh, nothing's wrong.
Instead of investigating in that moment of what is happening and asking questions, you guys was just like, okay, everything is great, the universe is taking care of us, and then just sit down and relax. And then you guys went in the wrong direction.
Yes. So then when we were expecting these great results, nothing. Right?
And people can see that is, they may be like, oh, you just lost your train, but imagine your whole life. Life is actually those little things. Let's just say you had a business meeting where you should close a big deal, and the people who are not in business, they're going to be like, oh, you just call the person and tell them you're not coming. In business, people just see who you are in the way you just see things are. That's just, I'm just late for an hour. For them, it's really, really important. A second is important. So that's just you not signing a deal, for example,
Yeah.
and just thinking it's just, I just missed my train just
Yeah.
because you weren't present and be like, okay, I should be sure that everything is great before I sit my funny and be like, okay, let's just be positive. Yeah, thank for the story, but I don't know where we were, but I think I was asking you why.
If someone were in gin and they were seeing this, right?
Mm,
So
mm.
and so what are the consequences of just being positive, right? And so the consequences, really, you can have this expectation of what your life is supposed to be like, but if you're just being positive all the time and you're not acknowledging what you don't want is there and doing something about it, then, and doing something actually, not just meditating or thinking about, what you want to have happen, but if you just do something about it, you can change what's going to happen. If you don't do that, you'll have an expectation of maybe a certain dollar sign in your bank, or because that's what I was doing. I was visualizing these dollar signs. Oh man.
And you got the minus dollar sign.
Oh, I got the minus dollar sign of that dollar sign, and I was like, oh no. Right?
You know that there are actually people who don't want to look at their bank account because they are like, I don't want to look at this.
I
It's
I was
stressful.
one of those people. That was me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what happened then when you met Cameron?
So I met Cameron, and like I said, we just became friends. But I was just watching his life on Facebook.
Getting better and yours becoming worse.
Yes, yes. And so I
I
said,
think he was meditating too much. Cameron, you have to give us the secret, right?
right, right, right. So I reached out to him because I could see very clearly, obviously he was making more money. He had moved into a new home. He was getting invited to beautiful homes that had massive closets that were bigger than, where I was
Your
living.
house, your apartment.
Yes. And I'm like, what the heck is this? The closet had an upstairs and a downstairs. I'm like, who is this? What is going on? Right. And then his relationship obviously was also getting better. He had just had a kid, and even he had lost all this weight. He was looking very fit, and his wife too. And I said, man, okay, everything seems to be going really well in your life. What's happening? And we talked, we had a conversation, and he told me a bit about Techno Tutor, right? And after that conversation, I said, oh, I need to get this.
Okay.
Because I
thought
saw,
we were going to say, I told you, get a fuck out here or something like that. You were open. I think you were already tired of your life. You were like,
oh yeah, because remember at this moment, I was believing of myself, it's not going to happen for me. I did all these courses. I studied all this material. I talked to all the people that they said you're supposed to talk to. I tried. I really did try. It was very hard.
yeah.
And I was just down on myself because I was a very positive person and it was not working for me. And I thought, you know what? I give up. I give up. And then when we talked on the phone, I said, okay, one last shot. And I was almost like, man, I wish he would have called me earlier when I had money, because I didn't have any money either.
He was broke.
I was broke. I was negative. I was so negative.
The happiest person on earth was broke. He was
So
broke.
it's funny, right? Because in my mind, I was so positive, but in my bank account, I was so negative. That's the polarity I created. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
So
so
what happened then when he told you about this and you were like, man, you should have told me earlier?
So then I had to borrow money. I had to borrow money to get this. But I saw that it was worth it for me, And so I borrowed as much money as I possibly could so that I could get this for myself, because I thought, man, maybe if I get this, I can actually change in the way that I want to change. I can actually implement all those things that in these courses that I bought that they were telling me, right? So I did. I borrowed money. I got Techno Tutor. I started using it, and immediately I started to see for myself some slight changes in the way that I was thinking. Changes, right? And one of those changes was, remember I was telling you, like, I was thinking, I'll just raise a child by myself, right? Well, one of the things that I saw shifting was my relationship with my mother, right? I saw that start to shift just slightly, not big, but just slightly, right?
Guys, remember he said at the beginning that his mom and their relationship was like, she's crazy and I don't want to be around those types. That's how you created the image of women in your life, because you said the women in your life were crazy. So just to remind you guys,
yes, exactly.
how it was.
I thought she was crazy, and I also thought, like, that I would never be able to get along with her. All these things. I had a lot of anger towards my mom, you know?
Mm. And I can see that because of that, you avoid her calls,
Right, exactly.
avoid talking to her. And
Right.
at the same time, you are avoiding that, but at the same time, you feel bad for it. Like, oh, I shouldn't be avoiding my mom. But at the same time, the moment I talk with her, it's just like I don't want to do this. So in either way, you're just like, fuck, what is happening? So
Exactly that. Exactly that. And the way I felt about her was, of course I love her, of course.
exactly.
But at the same time, it was just, but I can't deal with you, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and I'm just emphasizing that because I know so many people are in this situation when they are like, I haven't talked to my mom in years, but I really love her. I would like to talk with her, but when we just start, it's just become worse. So I rather not. And just, then Drake saying that he saw slightly different. This is a mom and son relationship we are talking about. So that's already amazing. So then what happened? The more you started using technology to
So the more I use it, then I started seeing other things shift as well. Um, I had this problem where in school, I never really needed to read any of the books or anything like that because I could just listen to the professor, listen to the lecture, whatever, and I knew what was going to be on the test immediately. I just automatically knew, oh, okay, you're saying this. Okay, I can do that. I
mm-hmm.
was really good at school, at least at the test. Not so good at the homework. I was in, I don't like to waste my time.
He doesn't like to waste his time. Just give me the test and let's be done with it.
Exactly, exactly. And so, um, I when I started reading books because I wanted to read the books, I would get maybe halfway through the book and I say, this book is good for tomorrow. I'm gonna read this tomorrow, and then I would never pick it up again. You know, and
And
I
do you know that people actually read like this? Like people, you go to their homes and sometimes they have so many books, but they haven't read or they have read maybe 20 pages, and they was like, ugh, and they stop reading it, but in their mind they have read all of them.
that was me. That was me. I would read halfway through a book and then I'd buy another book. Oh, maybe this one will be the answer. Maybe this one. Maybe this. Well, what I started noticing was when I would read a book, because I had heard this before. I heard this before. When you're reading, you're supposed to reflect on what you read, right? You think about what you read. And I always thought, okay, I just read this. I'm thinking about it. Why am I thinking about it? I just read it. Who cares? What how is this helping me? Right?
Yeah.
But I started reading and I could see like, oh, this makes so much sense. Yes, I know I could use this in my life. I know why he said this. Oh, because of back there, he said that. I know what he's going to say next. It just all clicked. It all made sense. I could see it in a completely different way that I had never seen it before. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, whoa, this is reading. And, I could read before. I didn't have a problem reading. It was just, I didn't get the point of it. But then I was like, wow, this is really reading, right? And then what I started to see shift later on, after those small little things, later on, what I started to see shift was my relationships entirely, right? So before, man, I could not be in a relationship with a woman for more than 3 months at all. It was just like, woo, all right, okay, it's been a week. Okay, that is enough for me,
Already.
you know? Um,
Yes, and what shift then? Let's just say someone is facing that same situation. Like, I don't know why. I really want to be like, I don't want to die alone by myself. But when I start a relationship after 2 weeks, 3 months, I'm just like, I can't deal with this. So, what are you going to tell that person? what is actually the problem there?
Yeah. So really, the program there is that you have a corrupted idea, and it's not your fault, but you're the only one who can change it now.
Mm-hmm.
You have a corrupted idea of relationships. You know, somebody or your environment or the television or something put this idea in your mind that relationships work like this. And so every time you think of a relationship, you think it's going to end up like this. And that's preventing you from getting into the relationship that you actually want. Because that's what I had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is, women are like this. And I don't want that. So I have to avoid that at all costs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even though I wanted a relationship, but then I was avoiding women. And then when I would get into a relationship, it's just like, I knew you were going to be like that. And then I automatically went into my program of, well, when somebody's like this, I act like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Okay, great. That means you change your paradigm on relationship. That's why you could see the change in your relationship.
Yes.
And do you guys see the difference when you are applying things in your life? It should show instead of being in your head and thinking you're getting better. Because I'm sure all of this year when you started watching The Secret and reading books, I'm sure you wanted to have a better relationship, but you weren't able to have those. And that just means that you have to actually change to see the result in your physical life. But the moment you start lying to yourself that because you feel that sense of happiness and I must be happy all the time, you don't reflect on your real physical life. And you can just lie to yourself again and again and again that everything is happening, but it's not. And the moment you are sure things are happening is when your physical reality can show you what you are actually saying. I just wanted to put it out there. So continue, Drake. You said the shift in your relationship and what else?
Yeah. And I saw a shift in my bank account too. I got the pound.
Oh, finally!
Yes.
Finally!
Yeah. Yeah. So, which was great because, man, I needed that.
I can imagine it's a very difficult place to be in. Like people are gonna be mad, but money is God in our current system. If you don't have it, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like there are still countries now, now, I mean, almost everywhere in the world where if you don't have money and you are bleeding and you want to die, and they're like, okay, where's the money? You don't have it, you're gonna die. They're
Yeah.
gonna next. And so, yeah, money is actually the things that can put you in serious places where you don't want to be in. So, finally, the plus was becoming plus. The minus were just plus
Yes.
now.
Yes. Finally.
And what was you doing at that time? Jobs or what precisely?
Yeah. So at that time, what I was doing was um, I had basically done something I'd never done before and that I'd barely just heard about. I was just talking to somebody and I happened to ask them, what do you do? And they told me that they travel and they give tours to, different places and they go eat different foods. And I said, oh, I'm really good at that.
Yes, you travel, you know how to speak, and yeah.
I said,
Uh-huh.
I can do all that. And they said, oh, well, I mean, maybe you might want to work with this company and do this. And I said, oh, yeah. And then I asked them, wait, I don't know actually how to do this for a business. How do you do this for business? And they said, oh, go learn from these people over here. And I learned from them. And then I started doing that. And literally, within that same year, I went from negative thousands of dollars to positive thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's real change.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, we have our famous phrases. Inner change. Continue, Drake. Inner.
without immediate outer change is a lie.
Yeah, it's a lie. Write that down, people. Write that down and ask yourself the moment you are like, I'm changing. Write that sentence down and read that sentence again and ask yourself if you actually changed. Yeah, and then that's cool because thinking about the time you drop out of college or university, how the hell you call it, and then starting using techno tutor, you were working, but you had negative dollars in your bank account. And
Yeah,
now using techno tutor, and then you can see that change. Can you break it down to someone who doesn't understand? Sometimes people are like, oh, you should just manage your finances better or whatever, but they don't understand that it's more than that. So can you touch on that a little bit?
yeah, yeah. It's interesting because people are always like, "Oh, you just have a different thought," you know? Like
Yeah,
it's that easy,
exactly.
you know? But okay, where do your thoughts even come from?
Great
How are
question.
you getting to this thought in the first place? You know? And what they don't realize is like, or what I didn't realize at the time was I was thinking, oh, I would think positively. I tried doing that for many years, thinking positively. And then not just, oh, I'm only going to listen to this one person, but getting a different perspective and this perspective and this perspective. And okay, I'm trying to take all this information and think positively in the way that you say it. And I'm trying to learn the way you say it. But already in my mind, I had an idea of what positive meant. I had
Mm,
an idea already of what relationships meant, of how money works. For instance, you say you have to think differently about finances. Most people think, oh, if I just had a lot of money come in, if I won the lottery, then I would be fine. No, you would be worse because the way that you think about money is you think that, oh, money comes in and that solves my problems. No, you're the problem. You are the problem.
remember that you are the problem and you are the solution at the same time. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
And so it's a shift in your, it's not just in your thinking, it's even in how you come to a thought.
Hmm.
It's breaking down where the thought even starts from. That's what you have to shift. And if you don't know how to do that, you got to reach out to Sandra. You got to,
Yes, reach out to me or reach out to Drake.
yeah.
Yeah. And after that, what happened in your life? You were get, being more and more stable with your finances. What about relationship at that time? You said
So,
it was getting better, but
so at first it was just better with my mom,
mhm,
right? And I
mhm,
saw that getting better, and I thought, oh, that's cool, that's great. And then I started seeing relationships differently, just women differently, and then I realized why none of the relationships that worked out in the first place,
mhm, mhm.
because I was the crazy one. I
You were actually the problem.
was the problem.
Women.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I
And
remember this conversation, how Jordan B. Peterson,
yeah,
and that's red pill people, and they ask him a question like, nowadays women are so bad, they are not this and they are not that. And he's like, wait, you are telling me that if you don't find a wife, it's because of women. Like there are billions of women on earth, and they are the problem, and you are the good one. He was like, I was like, oh, that is a great question. Like, Drake was the problem, not women. And so, after that, what happened? Your life was getting better and better, but what then?
man, do you want the I'll give you the shorter version.
Yes, give us the short story.
The short story is this. So with the podcast that we have from Self Perfected, we also have a Facebook group that is a phenomenal Facebook group.
They know I talked about it every time. So
Okay.
if you are not there, I don't know what to do with you. So I've done my part. I have shared. You must receive.
There you go. There you go. So that Facebook group is so great. And we have so many people that join that Facebook group.
Wait. There's something I would like you to share first, because you started using TT as a user,
Yes.
But when did you become a distributor at TechnoTutor?
A few years ago. So it was after a year of me using it. Then I became a distributor, and the reason why was because I had this experience that blew my mind. It was phenomenal.
Tell us about that. I want it to blow our minds also.
So the experience that I had, so before that, I was like, this is cool. I like it. It's nice. I'm learning a little bit. That's good. I saw the shift with my mother. I saw this shift in my reading, and I thought, that's cool. In this moment, I was watching something on YouTube, and they were interviewing this very wealthy man and asking him, hey, what are some habits that you have that the average person doesn't have? And he said, I don't give tacit approval. And when he said that, I said, what the heck is he talking about? Right? But then I put that into my TechnoTutor. And when I did that, I had this experience where all of a sudden, I just started feeling euphoric, just blissfully happy, just like, oh, wow. I just felt great. And I thought, what is going on? And then this thought came in of what is tacit approval and where it came from, why I started giving tacit approval. And I realized, when I was, tacit approval, for those of you who don't know, like me.
That's why I put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you don't know, tacit approval is when somebody says something and you don't know what they're talking about, or you disagree, you think what they're talking about is BS, and you don't say anything. That implies that you agree with them.
Or sometimes you agree. Sometimes you're like,
yeah. Sometimes you nod your head. Sometimes you go, yeah. That was me. I was the guy who was like, yeah. Sounds great. Yep. Right. And I even had an experience where I was like, just literally the week before, I had an experience where some guy came up to me. He was saying some BS. And I was like, yeah, sounds great. Yeah. And then I couldn't get him to leave me alone. And I kept agreeing with him, and he wouldn't leave. And then finally somebody else said, hey, you need to get the F out of here. And he left. And I was like, how come I couldn't do that? Why did I keep agreeing with him? What's wrong with him? Right? So then I found out about this tacit approval thing. And I said, I don't give tacit approval. And boom, immediately the thought came back to me, rushing back, why I give tacit approval in the first place. And it's because when I was younger, I was starting to get a little bit smarter, and I noticed some of the things that my mom said didn't add up.
Yeah, it didn't make sense at all.
Right. And so I told her, that doesn't make sense. You're wrong. And she said, don't talk back to me. And I said, whoa, what?
And with that tone, right? That specific tone, yeah, exactly.
You know.
You're gonna get in trouble.
Right. And eventually I did get in trouble. I kept doing that over and over. Finally, I said, you know what? When somebody is bigger than you, they're like the authority. Whatever they say, just agree with it. Just agree, And because it was my mom and somebody I love, if I want somebody to like me, just agree with them. That would be the best thing.
They are going to love you.
Yeah. Exactly. So don't disagree. Just keep your head down. That's it. Okay. And I lived my entire life by this rule that I made for myself because of that one instance. Right. And then when I realized that, I said, wow, I don't have to live like that anymore. And that same day, I was talking with someone, my heart started racing when they said something I disagreed with. That never happened before. And I was like, oh, this is where I would usually just stay quiet. What am I going to do? And then I just said, I don't agree. I disagree. And oh my gosh, you know what? They didn't spank me. They didn't put me in timeout. They didn't yell at me. They didn't care. They were like, oh, why do you say that? And we had a discussion. And I was like, oh my God, I could have been doing this the whole time. Right? But not really, because I tried in the past. I had tried to disagree with people and it never worked out. It never worked out. And I was like, why is that, right? Well, I realized in this moment, I realized this. I'm not the only kid who grew up with a single mother. I was feeling so blissfully happy, not just for that moment, that entire day, that entire week, I was just on a cloud where I was just like, wow, I feel
I did something that I have never done before.
Right.
Yeah.
And I never felt that good before. And I thought, wow, you know what? I grew up in an environment where I didn't even know I could feel like this. I didn't know I could feel this good because I was raised by a single mother. And it's not her fault, you know, it's just, those were the circumstances.
Exactly.
Right. And I realized, oh, I can help a lot more people. Even just one person who's gone through an experience like this, like me, I can help that person if I just share this with them, because it wasn't nobody told me this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It was just, I was just using the tools and boom, that happened. And I was like, wow,
exactly.
This works. I can give this to somebody else and they will see that it works if they just do it, you know?
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons you decided to also share the tool.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted you to share because I'm always excited when I hear people share their story on why they decided. It's different for all of us, right? It's different. And I'm always fascinated about why that person decided to get on board and share this amazing tool. So, yeah, so then that was another business then you had for you. You know, you went from job to job, and now you becoming distributor is you having your own business, and that's amazing. And so let's just go to the parts about your relationship. And
Yes.
first, right before that, you becoming a distributor at TT, techno tutor, we like to call it TT to make it short.
Yeah.
You then took on the vision. Why and how did that help you? Because I know as a man, especially if you don't have a purpose, you're just the most saddest man on earth. So how does that look for you?
Yeah.
You're in your day-to-day life, you having that purpose.
Yeah. So, man, okay. I'll say this, me taking on this purpose, the vision is to create a world that is best for all, right? Which means that every child is raised by their parents who are understanding and not going to just abuse them. And they give their children the tools, everything that they need in order to succeed, in order to be successful in this life, not just like, oh, success, like make a lot of money, but to actually feel confident in themselves, know who they are, love life, love other people. You know, that is the vision, right? Part of, you know, why I took that on was because I realized that I didn't have that. That the reason why I grew up the way that I grew up is because my mom was going to university so that she could make more money for me. She was trying to take care of me. You know, I understand that. It wasn't, oh, she just wanted to abandon me.
No.
But she couldn't be there with me because she was concerned about how am I going to survive in this world, right? And also, the other things that were going on in our relationship between my mom and me was because of the way that she was raised. And
Exactly.
she wasn't raised the best way either. And so it would be really selfish to get this for myself and be like, okay, I'm good now. But I can actually make a difference for any other child coming into this world. And together, collectively, we can make a difference for the entire world, for every child, every being that comes into this planet, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, like what could be better than that, you know?
It doesn't exist. So,
Right.
yeah, so fast forward, Self-Affected was created. So tell us about the story you wanted to share before I rudely interrupt you.
Okay, so Self-Perfected was created. I was doing the admissions into the group. So
You are the recruiter.
exactly. So anytime somebody would come in, I would say, hey, welcome to the group. You know, you got to answer the questions. Oh, you didn't answer the questions. Bye-bye. You did answer the questions. Great. You're in. Here, check this out. Check that out. Right. And I saw this woman come into the group.
A woman.
A woman. Yes. There were many. Yes. But this one, she caught my eye and I thought, wow, I'm going to talk to her. Right. And I did talk to her. We started chatting. And what I proposed to her was that we just have regular chats. And then I saw she got Techno-Tutor. And then very soon afterwards, she became a distributor. And I saw, hey, our vision is aligned.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? And then I proposed to her, hey, would you like to be in a relationship with me? And she said, no.
Oh, what the heck? It's supposed to be like in the movies. She's like, yes, and they live happily ever after.
Yeah, no, it didn't happen like that. It didn't happen like that. She said, no, but we can still be friends. We can still have our chats. And I said, listen, if we continue to chat, I'm going to continue to sell you on a relationship with me. And she said, okay.
And think for that in the moment. If you were the Drake in the past, would you have, first of all, summoned the courage to talk to her? Secondly, the moment she was gonna be like, no, would you still persist? You know, because when you don't persist, you cease to exist.
Right.
So what would the Drake in the past say or do?
So in the past, I would have been like,
That's what Drake, you were a loser. I remember the first class of Self-Affected. It was just Mitchell and Cameron, and Mitchell asked Cameron, "So Cameron, what are your resolutions?" He was just joking around, right? Cam said, "Not being a loser." I'm like, yeah, that is a great resolution because men now they are just losers, and we know why. That's why we are here. And so Drake, no, he was a loser, and so what happened next?
So then after that, then we stopped talking actually for a little while. But then she saw that I went and I was visiting with Cameron, right? And she asked me, oh, how was your trip and everything? And I told her about it. And then we started talking again more regularly. And I thought, she is open to a relationship.
I need to start this again.
Right. But it was funny because of the group that we're in, right? There were other people around her that were also part of the group, and they saw that she's open to a relationship as well. And they said, hey, who are you considering for a relationship? And she mentioned my name. And they said, well, if you're even thinking about it, then you should meet. At the very least, just meet and see if it makes sense. Don't just go into your mind about it, but meet. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but it might work out, right?
Yeah.
And so she came. Well, actually, first we had a conversation, and she said, hey, yeah, what do you think about a relationship? And I said, well, okay, yeah, I'm still open to it. Yeah. And so then we made arrangements for her to come visit with me, right? She was supposed to originally come down for like 1 week. She ended up staying for a month.
Oh, Drake charming. The charm of Drake made her stay for 1 month. Ah.
I was just gonna say because we got along so well. But yeah,
it's your charm. Like what? She was just like, Drake. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it turned out that well, this is like really the woman of my dreams, really. And that was in 2021, I think. Yeah, 2021.
The years people were just in their house, and how dare you guys meet
Yes.
during that time where you're supposed to be in your house by
Exactly.
yourself alone and crying.
Yeah. And now it's funny. I see her in the chat. I see her in the chat.
Yes, of course, she's in the chat. We are gonna invite her in some moment because I want you to share first. You got story.
Yeah. But now it's funny because the relationship has been amazing. I've never had a relationship like this, never, right? But now it's so amazing. It's so great. We're it's not just like fun. We challenge each other, and we grow, and we're like, oh, okay, we need to work through this point for you and this point for me, and we work on it together, and then we overcome it together, and we're like, yes, and we can see our lives getting better and better and better and better. And like I said, I've never had a relationship like this, and I'm excited to say that we are now having a baby.
You guys having a baby out of wedlock? This is how my mom will talk to you. You
No,
are
no,
you
no.
a baby out of wedlock?
We are married, actually. We are married.
This is where you're supposed to start first.
I forgot. It was like, whatever. We got married. Yeah. But think about this. I never wanted to get married. Never wanted to get married.
That's why I wanted you to talk about that, because women can see both sides, that women are like, I don't want to get married. Men also, I don't want to get married. You went from not wanting to even be in a close relationship for a year or whatever with the women, from going to, yes, I'm actually considering that. And then when the moment happened, when you saw the one, and when I say the one, you guys, you shouldn't go in your head, the one, it was just the person who is aligned with his agreement and his purpose. And he then proposed, meaning there's a difference between a man saying, oh yes, I want to do it, and those who actually do it. And he did what he said. And then you guys, you propose, you guys get married, and now you guys have the kid on the way. So Mama, I know she's in the chat, but if she can come and show us the baby bump, the belly. She told us that if you come to the event in San Diego, you have a chance to rub her belly.
That's right. You have a chance to rub the belly and have some
like the belly of Enter.
Not the belly, Mama. Oh my God. Look at that. Here is Drake. How many years later after using CT?
How many what?
How many years using CT?
So we're now, for me, I'm going into my 6th year.
Yeah.
Of using CT.
Yes, and for Christine?
2 years, just over 2 years.
Yes, and Drake, you went from, Christine, did he tell you that he's gonna take the baby and raise by himself?
He did tell me that.
Do you agree?
Absolutely not.
Stuck together, so amazing. Can you get comfortable a little bit, Christine, so you can share a little?
I'm gonna have her sit in this chair. I'm gonna go grab another chair.
When a pregnant lady walk in, you stand up. How dare you? So hi, Christine.
Hi, Sandra.
Blow Drake's mind when he saw you with your beauty.
Oh, I knew. I knew he had a crush on me.
And you were playing where I'm from. We say you play shakara, meaning you're like, oh, I'm not interested, but you are. Why were you playing? They say hard to get.
To get. It wasn't necessarily that I was playing hard to get. It was just more that I was very new to the group and I didn't know, like, I just wasn't ready. That was like the biggest thing. And then part of that was also like I was dealing with my own relationship issues. You know, the skeletons in my closet. Okay, so I was crushing on another guy that I thought I wanted to be with. But we weren't like in any capacity, like even close to being together. You know what I mean? This was all like a fantasy in my mind.
We
And
all have.
I was also like single for 3 years, like maybe 3 or 4 years prior to that. So then when I came into Self Perfected and I saw this, like, you know, other people living out these like really amazing relationships, I was like, oh, I want this too. So I did get faced with the point pretty quickly right away, like when I joined the group of like, okay, I am getting a lot closer to 30. So I need to get this part of my life together a lot like sooner than later. Like I can't be delaying on this point. So, you know, let's work through this. So that's a part of the reason why I got Techno Tutor. But also then after I became a distributor, and this will forever be stuck in my mind. So when you know, we have like a distributor training, right?
Yeah.
And we get one-on-one with Avery, like, so literally one of the first things that Avery said, I'm pretty sure it was on the first day, he was like, if you think that you can build this business alone, not in a relationship, then you're lying to yourself. Like you're basically kidding yourself. And I was like, oh,
How dare you?
yeah, like, you know, like,
Especially with that feminist program, I'm like, I can do this, I can do it.
right, because I was set on like, I just need to start this business on my own, and then I'll find someone, you know what I mean? And like I said, I was not focused on like on a relationship per se, but I knew like I said, I was having I had a crush at that time, and then I also had Drake talking to me also, that I knew that he had a crush on me. So I was gonna have to deal with this point at some point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then after like what Drake had already mentioned, like after the initial proposal of the agreement, he basically we stopped talking, like he said, but then I was able to really focus on, okay, like what do I want, and get really clear for myself, because I also got rejected from the person that I thought I wanted to be with, you know? So it was really funny, like the dynamics that were going on all around. Anyways, and then I got support because, you know, Self Perfected is a global community. So we have people I was living in Canada at the time, in Toronto, and there was a large group living in Ottawa. So I actually, because they were like the closest people to me, I was like, oh, you know, I actually have family in Ottawa. So I went to Ottawa and was able to meet with all the Self-Perfected local people there. And that's where I really like got that one-on-one support that I needed to face my own BS. And, you know, get told to my face, like, you know, you're wasting your time, like trying to make it work with this other person. You need to get clear on what you want. And through that, you know, you can also be building your business, you know, since you're a distributor. But it's like, you know, then I got the opportunity to then use building the business to also then pitch a bunch of guys, you know what I mean? Like to then start prospecting guys, you know?
Yeah. And I just want to touch on that, like seeing the power of the community, because when you're just by yourself and you think I got this, you know, you're like, I got this, but the community is here to support you to, hey, come back to reality first of all, and then look at the reality and the things that are facing you so that you can face those, instead of being a community where they're like, just think positive, it's gonna come, the man of your dream, they are gonna come, it's not the time yet, since you're not feeling it, that means it's not the one, you know. Drake, if Christine were in those group, they would tell them, you are not the one, because she's not feeling that thing, the
Yeah.
universe is not aligned. And she would be like, yes, that's probably correct. But
Right.
here we are like, hey, come back to reality. And that's very, very cool
Oh yeah.
with this community. And so when they finally um, make you to face your reality, what happened?
So after that, I basically then, like I said, I did my process on all the points and all the back chat that was coming up in my head, and got really clear. Okay, like what do I actually want in a guy? Because you know, especially growing up, for both boys and girls, but it's like we grow up with all of these ideas of like a relationship, regardless of whether we have, our parents together or not. It's like you get impulse with movies and princesses and, your Prince Charming, you know what I mean? And you have all these like ideas of the type of guy that you should be with. And it's funny because a lot of, especially for women, I find like the guy that you have in your mind is probably not the guy that actually is good for you. You know what I mean? Not to say that you can't have like a good looking guy, because Drake is very good looking, okay? but like it's like you have this idea of, you know what I mean? Like
he needs to be this way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, so it's just like going through all of that stuff. And then getting myself to the point of even considering someone else, because that was the challenging part, was like letting go of this person that I thought I wanted to be with.
Yes.
And finally like, okay, am I actually serious of getting into a relationship? And if I am, then I have to be doing the things to get there, right? So after that, I ended up, like I said, I used that as an opportunity to then talk to people about Technotutor, talk to people about Self-Perfected. And lo and behold, it all just led me straight back to Drake. Because it was cool. It's cool what we have in this community, because we can see what other people are doing. Mm-hmm. And sharing him going to Texas and visiting with Cameron and being with the kids. And I was like, that must be amazing, because it's like you're getting to see in the physical like these kids that are super smart versus just like seeing them like on a little video. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so that was cool. And then when we reconnected, I totally was like way more open. Like he read it, really. He read it. Like I was totally more open to a relationship. And after like a few like more Zoom calls, because that's how we would chat most of the time. Mm-hmm. Eventually, which not gonna lie, with the help of the Ottawa self-perfected people, they were, like Drake said, they basically were like, well, if you're considering Drake even a little bit, like, you might as well just go meet the guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you have?
What we are here for, to push you to do what you are supposed to do.
Instead of
putting you in your la la land.
Right. And at that time, like, it was still the pandemic, especially in Canada. Like we were still not, like, I wasn't working, like the stores weren't even open. So I was just like at home doing my process and like trying to now build this business. So it's not like I had anything like holding me back home, so like why I shouldn't go. So, they were
yes, no excuses. That's what it comes down to. You had no excuses.
And if anything, like Drake lives in Florida, we live in Florida now. So it's like, if anything, it is just a nice vacation and you get to hang out with someone from the group. You know what I mean? Like,
is that one of the argument Drake gives you? That come to Florida, it's just like a vacation. Oh, Drake, it's one of the arguments you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, especially in comparison to Canada, like it was still cool. You know what I mean? Like, here it's always hot, basically.
Yeah.
And then basically when we met up here, we hit it off right away. Like we got along super well. And I wasn't really nervous about that, actually, because I had met a bunch of people from Self-Perfected in person in Ottawa. So I kind of knew, like, this is an amazing group. And no matter who you meet in person, regardless of how things turn out, like if we're actually clear on our principles and our purpose, like it's not going to ruin the relationship or the friendship or whatever, you know what I mean? The connections that we're making.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But anyways, it worked out really well. Actually, we had so much fun together that, like you said, I stayed for a month. And then after that,
it was charming for you to go back.
Exactly. And what was cool as well is that we were really clear from the beginning, because like Drake's initial proposal, back like a few months before, worked really well in his favor, I will say. Like,
Oh,
I'm
tell
so
us.
he had like a paper that he was reading from as to like why we should be together. So guys, like, take notes, because that's like pretty cool.
Take notes. or reach out to Drake. You can reach out to Drake and be like, I want to talk to this girl, but I don't know how. Drake is gonna hook you up.
Exactly. So he was super clear, and that helped, with my decision to move here, because I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. Nothing was going to be a surprise, or like, oh, these expectations are just too much or whatever. So we knew from the beginning, like, if we got along, if it made sense for us to be together, then we were going to go all the way and like get married and have a family, because we ultimately, that's what I wanted as well. Whether we could be with Drake or not, like, that was kind of irrelevant, but it was like what was in front of us at that time, right?
Yeah. And I just want to point out something you said. He was so clear, and that's what is missing now in our society, right? Men are not clear, or they don't even know what they want. That's why women are getting angry, like, men, they don't know what they want. And so just understand that the more clear you are in your life, the easier it's going to be for you to have the woman of your dream.
Right.
Yeah. So after that, you guys got married, and you
Yeah,
guys.
right. Officially moved. We got married. That was like a year and a half ago now. Yeah, it was like November 2021. And then, after that, we moved apartments, because Drake lived in this little tiny, oh my God, Sandra, it was like a closet.
What we hate as women, we are just like, fuck this, I hate this, I hate this place. The men are like,
Really the size of this bedroom, the house that we were living in. I kid you not. And like, so anyways, we moved apartments finally. We upgraded I got a vehicle. Drake upgraded his car. Like, all these like amazing changes were happening. And it's cool because you can see like being in a relationship brings so much stability, especially like for both people. But for a guy, it's like really supportive, because then it's like, okay, I can now that certain things in my life are being taken care of, like, the place that I live in, like my laundry, my food, all that kind of stuff, then he can go focus on like solely making money. And clearly, like, the results speak for themselves, because like I said, we wouldn't have been able to do that stuff if he wasn't able to focus on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
because think about it. If Drake, when doing this process and be in this community, where would you be now, Drake? You will maybe with a baby mama drama.
Maybe.
in your closet, you know, in your closet, having baby mama drama and being like, I hate women, and your bank account be minus
Yeah.
dollars. And now it's the opposite. You have a family now. You are a soon to be dad. You have your amazing, beautiful wife with you. And I think all of this is because one day you decide to not just think for yourself. The moment you are like, I want to share TT with the world. Because why is the reason you even met Christine?
Right. Because I was part of that group that was sharing this with the world.
Exactly. So I just want you to say one last thing about purpose and why someone should join this purpose, because it's the ultimate purpose. I know first listening to that, you're gonna, how dare you say that? How dare you say that too? So Drake, tell us about the importance of, especially a man, of having his purpose, and why he should talk on this purpose. And then we're gonna finish with Christine also sharing the purpose in the perspective of a woman.
Yeah. So this purpose, like you said, is the ultimate purpose. It is the best purpose that anyone can have, really. And that's really just Christine and I were talking about this earlier today and yesterday. Like, imagine, coming into this world, right? And you're lost. And no one around you is helping you at all. Everything is distracting you. Everything is taking you away from what you came here to do. And then you die and you're like, I missed it. I missed my chance in this life to do everything that I wanted to do. And not just what I wanted to do, but to create, to really show who I am, to prove like what I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we're doing, our purpose is to make sure that, look, when a child comes into this world, not only are we creating an environment for them so that they can be the very best that they can be, we're giving them the tools to do everything that they possibly can. And we're reminding them along the way, hey, you know why you're here.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's having that purpose. For me, I'll speak for myself, having that purpose has allowed me to do way more than I would have done just thinking about myself. Even now today, because we have a child on the way, that in itself is more purpose. That's shifted the way that I even consider other people, the way I consider myself, the way I consider life in general. It's allowed me to go, oh, wow. And before, I thought I was a considerate person, but now I'm like, wow, I need to think about things in terms of the child that we're bringing into this world.
Yeah.
Right? And making sure that I do everything in my power to set up our children for success. And like we were talking about success earlier, right? But making sure that they have all the things that I wish I would have had or could have had when I was a child. The love that I wish was there, the support that I wish was there, the guidance, the direction, the understanding, all of that. And the ability to be a genius, because we already know that's going to happen, right?
You're so sure. People are like, why are you so sure? I'm like, I'm too sure that when the water drops, it's going to fall on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But it's cool because we also have this community and we're seeing all the other kids who are being raised and they're becoming genius too. And it's just like, wow. So not only will our child be a genius, but they're going to be connected to all these other geniuses who are raised with the same principles, the same purpose of creating a world that is best for everyone.
Yes, for you watching.
Yes.
We are creating a world best for you, everybody watching right now. So, yeah, this is the best purpose. And if you are a girl, a woman, and you are like, man, Christine, why did you snatch Drake from us? We want driven men. We want a man who have the purpose, the vision, who gonna take care of us. Drake, tell them, where can they find men, driven men with purpose?
I don't know. Maybe if you just go and you're looking around at the club, maybe that's where you find them. At the club? No. Wait, that's not right. Maybe.
I think they tried already. It didn't work.
Right. No, you can find them in Self-Perfected in our Facebook group. Right.
Yeah.
Come onto Facebook, join our Facebook group, join Self-Perfected, take on this purpose. We have a singles thread. That is amazing because we're not the only couple that's met through that group. There's so many couples that have met through that group who are having babies, who are like actually taking on this purpose, living this for themselves, and be one of them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Drake. So if you are like what Drake says rings a bell to you, you should reach out to Drake or you should reach out to me. Now I want you to hear from Christine, from your perspective as a woman. How has your life changed and how does that look for you having a purpose, and especially as an upcoming mom?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, like a lot of people, I think we have this image in our mind that we want to change the world, or we want to at least make a difference,
Yeah,
right? Someone's
absolutely. Yeah.
lives, right? So I always had that, right? Because I'm not blind to like what the world is experiencing with all the suffering and everything and all the abuse. But with the limited information that I had prior to Techno Tutor and Self Perfected, it was like, okay, how can I do that? Right. And my background was in the health field. I was a nutritionist. So I saw health was like a very important aspect of helping people. Right.
Yeah.
But again, it was like a very limited um, view of how I can actually change the world. Right. Because I could only reach certain people that would be suffering in their health. Right.
Yeah, especially it's not the roots of all our problems, you
Right.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what became very, very clear to me when I joined Self Perfected and got Techno Tutor was, oh, like you just said, the root cause of every single problem in this world is a lack of education.
Mm.
And obviously, we're not talking about just any education, but like this level of like your foundation of what you learn from the time that you're literally born to 7 years old. Because by the time you're in school, you're like the window has passed, right?
Yeah,
Like,
said.
you've already experienced, like you're repeating the same patterns as like the people that went before you, right? So again, just became really clear to me, like, oh, this is actually a real solution. And i I was like, I need to get on board with this, because not only do I, first of all, like I saw how it was changing my life, but then I could see like, oh, if a kid has this, like this is next level. And if I have this for my kids, wow, like this just changes the whole parenting game. And like Drake and I always talk about this, like if we didn't have Techno Tutor, if we didn't have the support of this group, like we would have just played out the same patterns of like what our parents did, thinking just, I'm just doing my best. And not to say that our parents didn't try and do their best, but it's like no one really questions that part of, how could actually I make parenting better, right? And repeat the same patterns. And again, it's very hard to when you don't know actually how to change the base programming that exists inside of all of us, essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this was the first time that I saw in a group that actually had like a real solution that wasn't just this like, oh, like it'll be nice one day that we just like change the system or like change the world and like end world poverty. It was like, no, this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna educate and we're gonna distribute this tool so that everyone has access to or people have access to this, because especially the people that can hear this message, because not everyone is actually going to even be able to like hear our message, but at least we get enough people on board that we can really start to make ripple wave effects into the rest of society. So that just became super clear to me. And really, like, I mean, I just don't even see any other choice, because we see the abuse that's happening in the world. We see like for literally since the beginning of time, nothing has changed fundamentally within humanity. You know what I mean? There's like the haves and the have-nots. There's like the very, very rich and then the very, very poor. And it's just this like revolutionary cycle where it's like, it just switches, right? The pendulum just swings the other way, and there's never any actual fundamental change in the world.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, if we can actually like take this all the way and be really serious about, using the tools for ourselves, having a child that's like, okay, now I can be that example for other people as well, not just within my own personal life. It's like I can actually show the change in a generation. Like that's so cool,
And did you at any point in your life had doubt of being a mom, of becoming a mom, first of all?
I always knew that I wanted to be a mom because like I grew up with both my parents. My mom was actually a stay-at-home mom. So I had like a more stable upbringing than I would say the average person.
And Drake, for example. That's Drake.
Like Drake. And then also like but I still had the emotional abuse, you know what I mean? And the physical abuse. Like, that didn't change much, you know what I mean? Like, and because that's just how parents like think that you have to discipline your kids, is spanking and yelling and,
Yeah. I'm asking this question because I know there are so women right now panicking and being fearful of, oh, I'm gonna be the worst mom ever.
Yeah.
So, but I know when you are in this community and using this tool, let's just say someone asks you, are you sure you are gonna be a great mom? What would you say?
Absolutely. And not to say that it's not going to be
How
challenging.
dare you, Christine? You can't be sure. You're not a mom yet.
Right?
You haven't changed diapers the way I have. So how dare you say that?
Well, you didn't let me finish, Sandra.
Ah, sorry.
So,
I'm a justice warrior.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, we're not blind or we're not naive to the idea that parenting is challenging, because actually doing it this way is very challenging, because you're going against everything that other people just accept and allow, with spanking and yelling and emotionally abusing their kids. And so that's what I was going to say, is that, like, even though I always wanted to be a mom, like, part of it was also seeing the way that society was going, like even finding a relationship. Like, when the pandemic hit, I'm not gonna lie, like, I got worried of, how am I gonna meet somebody? Like, how am I even gonna fulfill the dream of being a mom if, like, I can't even go out to my next door neighbor to, like, go meet.
You're not allowed to fall in love. You're allowed to stay in your house.
Right? So yeah, so I know it's scary to a lot of women, and just to, like, even guys, like, to bring a being into this world, and looking at the state of the world and being like, why would I want to bring someone into this? But if everyone had that mentality, we wouldn't even be here. You know what I mean? Like, our parents wouldn't have, like, had us, for example. So, and then, so it's like, if we're going to be that generation that thinks that way, how is anything ever going to change? Because people are always going to still be having children at the same time. So it's like, it's now like, if you're not going to take the responsibility, then who is? And that's just what I see. Like, I'm confident now in, like, in being a mom. Like, I have the support too, because that's a lot what people are missing, is, like, having a community that actually supports them within all of this. We have great examples with, like, Katie and Cameron, and now we see all these other parents adopting the exact same thing. So it's cool, because I don't think anyone has ever considered, like, parenting can be systematic, because everyone thinks, like, oh, my kids are different. Like, you know, not even your own two children can be the exact same. You know, like, everyone has different needs and different expressions and different temperaments and all these different things. But fundamentally, like, the way that everyone learns is actually the same. Yeah. And that's something that people don't realize, because of what we've been taught through school and through education, the traditional sense of education with going to school and everything. So, yeah.
So I'm going to ask the last question. And to answer that question, we are going to do some other live anytime. Are you going to send your kids to school?
We are the school, Sandra.
No, there's no school.
How dare you? How is it going to socialize? Like I said, we are going to answer that. I want to have you guys in another call. Maybe we are going to see, because I really want us to talk about that parenting aspect of homeschooling. And we don't even call it homeschooling. We call it educating a child by their parents, the way it's supposed to be. So thank you guys for sharing. And I'm going to say the last thing before we kiss us a good night. Having a purpose is the first thing you need to build a sustainable life, a stable life, a fulfilling life. Because if you don't know why you are getting out of bed every day, that's why you are stuck, that's why your life is stalling, that's why you just want to give up and you don't know why you are here. We are here to create harmony in this life, because it's like Drake is my eyes and Christine is my hand. We all need to work in harmony. My eyes can't be like, I don't want to work today. They are like, we need to make this happen. So if you guys want to reach out to Christine or Drake, but reach out to Drake, leave Christine alone, unless you are in our business group. What do you say?
I said I'm busy making a baby.
Exactly. She's busy making a baby. And unless you are in the women's group, and if you want to join the women's group, you should reach out to me. Unless you're in the women's group, you can reach out to Christine. And so, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Drake. And see you next time right here. So, bye, guys.
Sandra.
I'm gonna expose you to the. Hello, I'm back. Et j'ai adoré. Mes lives durent déjà trop. Ça va faire 2 heures qu'on parle. Tellement j'écoute, je suis contente et je ne veux pas que ça finisse. Ah, j'aime trop cette communauté. J'aime trop discuter avec les gens avec qui tu vois la vision. La vision, c'est la plus belle chose. Quand j'ai commencé l'entrepreneuriat, quoi, 2000, j'avais, c'est pas, c'était 2016. Quand je m'intéressais, voilà. Et je voyais tous les gens parler de vision. Vision, ils disaient que mon frère, c'est quoi ça? La vision, c'est quoi? Vendre 1000 articles, c'est vendre 1 milliard d'articles, mais c'est pas ça. Et aujourd'hui, je comprends pourquoi avoir la vision rend tout clair. Drake parlait du fait que la vision a rendu tout clair pour lui. Vous voyez, une personne éduquée par une mère célibataire, les challenges dont il a dû faire face, et le fait que avoir grandi dans cette atmosphère lui a fait croire qu'il doit aussi seulement être un père célibataire. Vous voyez comment les trucs se répètent. Et voir aujourd'hui qu'il est marié dans dans son magnifique appartement. Quand j'ai connu Drake, il vivait dans un box. Il vivait dans un box. Le fait que quand une femme vient dans ta vie et que elle est là pour t'épauler, que vous vous épaulez ensemble, c'est tout simplement magnifique. Et malheureusement, les couples n'ont pas ça. Les couples sont en mode tu vis ta vie, je vis ma vie, et on rentre le soir, on se fait bisous, tu vois tes choses à part, je vois mes choses à part, et le soir, on se voit sur le même lit, on dort. Comment est-ce que vous allez grandir? Comment est-ce que vous allez accomplir les grandes choses si vous ne travaillez pas sur le même but, si vous n'avez pas la même mission de vie? Et donc, c'est si magnifique de voir des couples qui fleurissent de jour en jour parce qu'ils ont cette même mission de vie. C'est bien de voir un enfant qui, dans sa vie, a cru que la meilleure solution, ce sera pour lui d'avoir un enfant avec une femme quelconque comme ça, prendre le bébé et s'en occuper, de voir comment aujourd'hui il a vu, non, je dois être un homme qui prend ses responsabilités, je dois honorer une femme en faisant d'elle ma femme, et elle m'honore aussi en acceptant que je sois son mari, et ensemble, on va construire cette magnifique vie, avoir nos enfants ensemble et les éduquer ensemble. Et donc, c'était tout pour moi aujourd'hui. Les questions que je t'ai posées en début de ce live, réponds à ces questions. Il faut que tu répondes à cette question. Parce que si tu ne réponds pas à ces questions, ta vie va toujours tourner en rond. Et après 2 ans, tu vas te dire, mais pourquoi moi? Mais pourquoi moi? Tandis que quand tu es clair, et si tu veux être plus clair, tu peux m'écrire, tu peux m'envoyer un message à da4sandy@gmail.com. Il y a mes mails dans la barre de description. Partout, tu trouveras mon contact. Et avoir aussi cette communauté. Si tu es une femme, tu es enceinte, tu aimerais avoir un accouchement à la maison, dans notre communauté, on a prouvé encore et encore que quelle que soit la taille de ton bébé, Jessica qui est passée ici une fois, son bébé c'était un bébé de 5 kilos, je ne sais même plus. Je sais pas, je vais peut-être vous écrire ça là-bas, mais ça s'est fait. Les choses que la société va te dire, non, tu peux pas accoucher un enfant à la maison qui est aussi gros. Quand son bébé est né, il avait le poids et la taille d'un bébé de 1 mois, mais elle a accouché naturellement. Parce que cette communauté est là pour t'épauler, te montrer la route, te montrer que c'est possible d'avoir cette vie-là. Et donc, moi, je vous dis à très bientôt. Et j'adore déjà ces lives. Je crois que je vais faire un live 1 fois par semaine. Voilà. Et on se dit à très bientôt. Bye bye. What is your purpose? Quel est ton but de vie? What is your purpose on earth? I said, what is your purpose? I said, what is your purpose? Quel est ton but sur cette terre? Quelle est ta légende personnelle sur cette terre? Pourquoi est-ce que tu es sur cette terre? Pourquoi est-ce que tu te réveilles chaque matin? Demain, c'est lundi. Tu vas te réveiller demain. Pourquoi? Pour aller faire quoi? Pour quelle raison? Quelle est ta mission de vie? Bye.